Welcome to Confident HR Conversations, the podcast for HR professionals who know what they want to say in meetings, but they struggle to say it in English clearly. I'm Alena Konečná, and in each episode, we break down real HR situations and show you what to say and how to say it with confidence. What do you do when team conflict becomes so toxic that it stalls major projects and standard HR interventions fail? Today's guest is Ivana Hamadová, a seasoned corporate mediator with over 800 hours of mediation practice and a deep managerial background. Ivana specializes in resolving complex workplace disputes and rebuilding psychological safety in teams ranging from 3 to 50 people. She is here to show HR leaders how a structured, neutral process can achieve what management sometimes cannot. Welcome, Ivana. Welcome to Confident HR Conversations. Happy to have you here.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to join.
Excellent. Let's dive into our today's topic, which is mediation, your expertise. And let's just start with the basics. What's the difference between a standard conversation that any HR can have with their employees when they need to resolve conflict? So what's the difference between this and actual mediation? What happens in the mediation room?
The mediation is already focused on the conflict solving itself, not the general discussion. In some parts it might be similar, but the thing is, I'm an external person. I have just basic information about the situation, which is very important because I can ask curious questions that help to find the problem and help ways to solve it. And that I would say this is the main difference. I know almost nothing about the situation, and it's okay for the participants that I ask sometimes silly questions, let's say. And we spend together 2 to 3 hours, depending on the time needed. I simply sit them in the room at the table, ideally a round table, but whatever, they look at me and I start asking questions. I introduce them what mediation is, what will happen during the meeting. I tell them also that I'm not there to judge who is right, who is wrong. I'm not there to decide what is the right situation. I'm just there to help them. And I'm also bound with confidentiality. So what stays in the room, what is said in the room. So from my side, it stays there. That's important for them because then they are willing to discuss topics that might be kind of uncomfortable for them or that they wouldn't like to share with other people in the company, let's say. And then the first part is that I'm asking a lot about the situation, what they see, what they come with, what their work looks like, what their cooperation looks like. Um, and I'm drawing a lot on the flip chart so that we can see it all together. And I'm asking both of them because each of them sees the situation differently. And when they hear it from me, they can better understand each other. They can quiet down. I have some mediation techniques. I help them to cool down emotions with mirroring, let's say. I help them to reframe the situation so that they can see it from different point of view. And when I see that they start understanding the whole situation, that they calm down, I name the issues to be solved. They agree, both, or let's say 3 of them. And afterwards, we start solving. They start solving. The thing is, I never bring suggestions. I always ask. The solution is always on the side of the clients. That's the main point. Well, not the main point. It's important point. because they know best their situation and they can bring the best ideas. And when they bring suggestions, they choose the ones that suit both of them. And then again, we elaborate the solution of that situation. There are usually more topics than one. And again, I ask a lot of questions because I see, what happens if this does not happen? Like, so that they have backup plans. They don't end up in a quarrel again. And if it's a matter of company or mediation within company, they uh, at the end they don't usually need to write any agreement, which is at the end a part of the mediation, uh, because they simply compare together. So they may just photograph the flip charts or take them with themselves. But when it's, let's say, family mediation, sometimes people need the agreement that is written so that they can use it as a legal document.
Okay. Thank you for taking us through the whole process. I wanted to highlight a few things that you mentioned, that mediator is someone outside from the company, which means that they have a more neutral position. And what I'm hearing is that this can create more, potentially, it can create more safety for the participants so that they feel more comfortable going into details that might be confidential, but they feel safe because they know that they can discuss them together and with you without being judged or without the information leaking to people they don't want to hear about those details. I'm also hearing that it's based on asking questions rather than coming up with solutions or solving the issue for the people. I like this very much. And I think that's something that HR should really get inspiration from, because sometimes I see that we try to solve problems for the other people, and that might not be always the best case. So this is something very interesting for me as well. Um, you can also imagine that some people have different ideas about what mediation can do or cannot do, what actually they can expect. Have you ever encountered any misconception from companies that they expected you to do something that mediation is not really the best tool for?
Yeah. Uh, yeah, it happens that the manager or the boss has idea that I will tell them afterwards who is right, who is wrong. So that's not definitely my position. I'm not there to judge. I'm there focused on the situation and solving the situation, because there is almost never anyone who is right, who is wrong. They just need to see it from different point of view. Then I also encounter situations when the boss thinks like, we are the people, it's their problem, and just solve it with them. Uh, Unfortunately for the boss, it doesn't work in that way, let's say in 90% situations, because we need to include the manager or the top person, as sometimes they change the processes, or they need to have approval from the boss that they would do something different way because it's written in a contract or somewhere in the company papers, let's say. So usually the boss or some manager is included in some parts. And when we agree with the participants for this solution, we need a third person, we invite them and we discuss it with them. Or sometimes when it happens, there is a person who is breaking the rules of the company in some severe way. Um, it the mediation may not be helpful when the person doesn't want to cooperate, and well, it's then probably the mediation with the boss itself, and then it's a matter of legal issues or some uh, further work of the boss with that person if they want to have them in the team or not. but it's very rare situation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Uh, so maybe to clarify, I think earlier when we talked about this topic, you mentioned that sometimes the boss hires you to solve problem within his or her team, but during your mediation or during the investigation part, you find out that the boss is actually part of the problem. Um, how do you usually go about it, and what does it mean for you as a mediator then?
Um, well, if the boss is included in the problem, for me it means like the next step, the next meeting with the boss. I usually inform them in advance that it might happen. I will have to discuss something with them in person, and then I prepare for the meeting to inform the boss manager. Sorry, in the way they can hear it and accept the fact and um, don't take it as insulting, let's say. So this is uh, for me always very sensitive, trying to prepare for that meeting as well as possible. Because this is the most important part, and that would change the whole situation. Well, and usually they are glad for the information. They usually have sense like this might not be right. I should do a different way, and they just need to hear it from an external person.
Okay, so far
But
you've been
I'm always nervous. No matter how many meetings I've done, I'm always a bit nervous because I'm trying to do the best for the team. I'm trying to help them, and that they would be happier after my intervention.
Hmm. Okay. Thank you for sharing that as well. That even though that you have this, I would say a little bit privileged position that you come as a guest to the company and then you leave, there's still this nervousness and this anxiety about how this will go. But it's great to hear that you've so far had a good experience with um, self-aware people and bosses, so to say. Right. Well, now let's do a little demonstration as to
Okay.
what can a beginning of mediation look like. And what I mean is that conversation that you probably need to have every time with a boss or with someone from the company, maybe more people. And for you, from what I understood, it means you need to gather information about the situation before you actually go into the mediation. And why I wanted to include this in this episode is that I can imagine, or I know that many HR people are in a little bit similar position when their colleagues or managers come to them with this request, hey, I have a problem in my team, fix it for me, or maybe help me fix it if they're more enlightened. And so I would like to show in this demonstration what can a person do to learn more about what is happening before trying to fix it, before trying to find a solution, or before trying to help the people find their solution, which is the best option, of course. All right, so I'm going to be the boss of a company who has a problem or who noticed a conflict between his team members, two managers, and decided to invite you, Ivana, as a mediator to the company. And now we need to figure out what it is about, or rather, you want to figure out what the problem is really about. Are you ready?
Right. So let's start.
Excellent. So let me speak as the boss. So Ivana, thank you so much for meeting with me. As I mentioned in our first call, I have a problem. I have a conflict between two important managers who are basically at war. There's a lot of conflict between them. It's delaying our launch. And because you are the expert here, I really hope that you can help me figure this out and fix this problem.
All right. Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here for you. Well, first, I would like to start with like general questions so that I learn more about the situation and see if it will be a matter of just meeting with the two managers or if the situation includes more people or if it's more complex. Let's start with a question. Um, Tell me about, let's start it this way. Please tell me more about the situation about the launch. If it's a matter just of the two key managers, or if there are more people involved, if it's one team or if it's more connected teams, what does it look like?
Yeah, so I think the problem is really between those two managers. I think their personalities are just very, very different. And so the head of sales, he's really target driven, and he's always pushing his team. I mean, he is his team, and they have a good synergy. But the problem is when the head of sales needs to communicate with the head of operations, and there it is where the personality clashes arise.
Yeah. So you mentioned there is a head of sales, which is very passionate person, let's say, and it's difficult for him or her to communicate with the other manager, and they are both um, in the launch. What is the role of the head of sales, and what is the role of head of operations in this launch? Or let's say, let's start with other question. Is this just a matter of this launch, or is it something that lasts longer?
Mm. Yeah, we've had this problem before, but I feel that with every time we have a launch, which is a major event for us, the stress goes higher, and then the problems get heated up. So yeah, normally the cooperation where there's not so much pressure, it's okay. But then in the heat of the moment, it just becomes quite difficult. And yeah, that's the issue.
All right. Let's focus on the launch. Can you describe me? I have really no idea what the launch looks like. What are the roles of those people in there? What it means? Just very shortly. I will discuss it then with the managers. And what is the role in that?
Hmm. Yeah, so the sales department or the head of sales leads the sales department, and they're basically on the front of the launch. I mean, once it's all running, while the head of operations, they're more in charge of the processes and compliance, and making sure that everything runs smoothly in the background. So yeah, that's where maybe the tension arises when the head of sales needs everything to be done quicker, while the head of operations sometimes needs more time for some processes.
So you mentioned that there are just these two persons that are in charge of the launch and they need to cooperate. Um, right. Have you spoken with them about the situation already? Or how have you spoken with them?
Yeah. So I've spoken to them individually. I tried to give feedback, but I just it wasn't successful. I don't feel they're hearing me. I mean, they're basically accusing the other side from creating the problems. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So you've tried to do some steps, but you didn't succeed as they have strong opinions on their participation on their activities. Right. Are they willing to participate in a mediation with me? Or did they know about it already?
Yeah, that's a good question, and yes, they are aware of the situation, because I understand it wouldn't make sense to force them to do that. Yeah.
Okay, then it's perfect that they would agree, because that's important, that they have both motivation, that they want to further cooperate together. Then I would suggest we arrange meeting with them. We will need some room that will be quiet, that we will not be disturbed there, that they will feel safe there, that no one would listen from somewhere else, so that they can focus on the mediation itself. It might happen that if we find out during the meeting with them, or if I find out that we need someone else to include, that I would ask you if the person would join us, or perhaps you. That can happen as well. If not, then not, of course. And right after we end the meeting, or it might be 2 meetings, we will see how difficult the situation is, how many things need to be solved. And then I will inform you about the results. I'm bound with confidentiality, so it means things that I open with them in there. So from my side, they stay in the room or in a space with them. They can, of course, tell you whatever they like, but I can share information that only both of them agree that I will share with you further. So that you just know, because it's necessary for the process itself and for the safety of the person, of the people. Mm. Right. Do you need any particular questions, or that any more information? More information from me
Mhm.
right now when we
I
talk
think
about it.
I think that's okay. Let's get them into the room and so they can finally start speaking. Okay. Excellent.
All right.
Let's finish this demonstration, and I just wanted to highlight a few things that stood out to me, and that you what was interesting for me to hear is that you checked what already happened in that process, like whether there was some feedback, whether there were some attempts to solve the issue already. And also you checked whether the people are actually willing to solve the conflict.
When you mentioned before that, what should the HR people take from that? I was thinking about it before, like how it could be helpful for them. And I don't know if it's useful for you to mention that some suggestions that might be helpful.
Yeah.
Right. That I just what about some tips? It's always important to learn who all is involved in the conflict, because sometimes it looks there is just 2 people, but it might be a matter of more people. That's very important, because it can change the interaction when all the necessary people are included. It's very important to talk always with all the sides, with both people included or more in a conflict, because one person has always only their point of view.
Mm.
And if you ask the other person, they see it from a definitely different point of view. So this is very important, that when this does not happen, the conflict might uh, become might worsen actually. So that's just was idea that I wanted to share.
Mhm.
And definitely, that's what you mentioned before. Um, to ask the questions and not bring suggestions or solution. It's very difficult. Everybody has tendency to advise, and it's very natural. Sometimes it happens to me, and then I inside laugh at myself that the clients tell me strictly, no, 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 this is stupid idea. Then I'm okay. I know I shouldn't have asked, because they simply know the best, what might be the best solution. They just need to be heard from the HR. And when as they speak, they sometimes realize, oh, right, that this might have this solution.
Mm. Thank you so much
And
for stressing that out. And we mentioned it a couple of times, but I hear it so often, or I see it when I train with HR people, the the tendency to give suggestions, to give advice is so strong because of course they see the bigger picture. They have or they feel they understand the situation the best, and maybe they do, but it's so much useful if you can guide the people to find their own solutions, right?
Yeah, but well, as I mentioned, it's really natural to just give suggestions, but you can always ask. No, well, you can always give suggestions. Then when you realize, oh, I should ask them, then in the next step, you can ask them like, what would you suggest?
Mhm.
And maybe one last point, which I find very useful. I'm always very excited about in any mediation or facilitation, visualization. Anytime you have chance or there is anything you can draw on a board, any process or any workplace, I always suggest to do it because then it helps to focus on the situation different way because every person might have a different point of view on it. And once it's on the paper, they 100% see it uh, all the same.
Mm. Maybe not 100%, but yeah, I can imagine that it's.
But it's like when it's let's say workplace, and then they do not realize it was meant to be something else. Yeah, but
Mhm.
as you say, not always.
Maybe just a quick clarifying question. You mentioned speaking to all people involved in the conflict. Is it better to speak to them individually or all together, or maybe a combination?
Yeah. Well, I would suggest in the first step, it's easier to speak with each separately, especially when there are strong emotions. Uh, you need to be skilled to deal with the emotions so that it doesn't evolve. So it's safer to ask one person than another. And then when you see it doesn't have to be so difficult, you can all meet together afterwards if needed.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. All right, and then I have one more question about the topic, and that's, let's say I'm an HR. There's a conflict in the company, and I'm thinking, is this something we can contain inside? Is it something that I can maybe help solve them, or is it a time to invite someone external to help us mediate the problem or the issue? What could be the sign that it's necessary to take the step outside?
Mm. Right. Let me think. Well, first idea that comes to my mind, how desperate do I feel regarding this situation? Oh, really? It's just the first thing that comes to my mind. Have I tried already some ways how to solve it? It didn't help. Then yeah, it might be time. And then another thing is um, how much does it influence the productivity of the people, and how much is there a danger that some employees would leave because of this situation? So if there is positive answer for that, then I would definitely consider the mediation.
So desperation, I've tried and I failed, and the risk is high.
Mhm.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Or you don't need to feel desperate. You just may think like, this will be easier to when I ask and when I invite a mediator, and you can just feel confident and not desperate. But in case you get to this situation, you feel very desperate, and might be the time.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much for sharing about your expertise about mediation, what it looks like, and what it is about, what the what the purpose can be. And as a final question, is there or in what ways can people find you in case they see the need for a mediator?
Well, they can simply Google my name, as I have a website. It's www.hamadová.cz, the surname.cz, or I'm on a LinkedIn, and that's the simplest way if you have internet. And well, for the end of the summer, I will be preparing a webinar. So if someone wants to meet me in person, learn some tips or some techniques on communication, uh, it will be on my website. But later on, now usually the May and June are very busy months because I don't know why, but usually companies are excited or have energy to solve the issues. And that's why there is a lot of work then. But then in summer, I will have more time for that.
Excellent. So end of summer, there's an option for to join your webinar. I'm gonna definitely link it also in the description to the episode. So thank you so much for joining my podcast, Ivana. It was great to talk to you, and have a lovely day.
Thank you very much. And it was very nice to be here.
Before your next HR meeting, notice where you hesitate. Is it vocabulary, structure, or confidence under pressure? If you want clarity on what's actually blocking you and what you can do with it, take the HR Communicator Diagnostic in the description. It is free, it takes 3 minutes, and it shows you where to focus first.